Welcome back to the Delivering More platform, folks. I'm your host, Ben Alkire. Thank you so much for your continued viewership morning, afternoon, and evening. We appreciate it, as always. If you could, hit that subscribe button down below. That's going to help us out more than you could ever know. I have another amazing driver spotlight to bring to you folks today. I have with us a driver out of Detroit, Michigan. We're celebrating his 2-year anniversary on the platform. He joined in August of 2022. He's now familiar with platforms like DoorDash, Uber Eats, Grubhub, and most notably as of late, Zifty. On the Deliver That platform, he has taken 239 total deliveries, delivered $68,000 worth of food, and driven over 1,800 miles. Welcome to the spotlight, Derrick Fields.
What's up, Ben? How you doing, man?
I'm good. I messed up the intro a little bit. I wanted to mention that you're formerly known as DoorDash Dad. I forgot that part. I messed that part up.
Yeah, you messed it up, man. Messed it. I had a channel a couple years ago. Last year, I deleted it July 1st. It was time to move on, man, and try something new. So yeah, it's all good, man. Everybody knows who I am anyway.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah, yeah. I love getting your name out there a little bit more. What's going on with the YouTube channel stuff as of late? I know you mentioned obviously you previously did a lot of the DoorDash stuff. I checked out your channel today. You're kind of active on Zifty. I saw Deliver just became live in your market a week or two ago, maybe. You're still doing some Deliver That stuff. Obviously, we got the Lions background, so I know you're live in action at minicamp the last couple weeks. So where's the channel at these days?
Man, so just kind of just started. I think in the middle of June. Just wanted to. I missed the gig space, man. The whole point of me deleting DoorDash Dad was kind of to move forward and do more than just that, because it was just time to move on. So I mean, I just make videos just to talk to the people. I missed that tremendously. So I just wanted to come back, and I didn't have an outlet. It was time to let DoorDash Dad go, but it was time to become something more too. So I just put videos over there, man, whenever I feel like it, and let the channel do what it does.
Hell yeah, yeah. Sometimes you gotta let go of things to move on and see what you can become yourself. I like that attitude. In terms of the gig economy, we can kind of start there and obviously talk about the space a little bit. How you became familiar with it, when you started. I know you've been in Detroit. You filled out the form for us. You're a Detroit, Michigan lifer?
Yes.
Hell yeah. Where'd you grow up? What's your time been like up there?
So grew up on the west side of Detroit. My time in Michigan, in Detroit has been great, man. Everybody seems to have this thought about our city and what it entails, and you couldn't be more far from the truth. So been born and raised my whole life, man. Live right now on the outskirts of Detroit. And yeah, man. So I've been doing gig economy. Started in 2019. I drove a school bus, and then I had a situation where I needed to take care of my son full time. Me and my wife needed to take care of him. So I was asked by his mom if I could take him a little more. That turned into full time. And in order to take care of him, I could not drive the school bus anymore because he was in school. School buses is exactly when he's in school. I have to be at work. So I took a chance, man, started doing Instacart. And then DoorDash came around, and I figured, hey, I can do 4 orders and get better pay at the time than if I did an Instacart, and then just went full blown into DoorDash after that, man. Started a YouTube channel maybe about a year later, and the rest is history.
Yeah, I wrote down bus driver. I have that written down in my notes. I wanted to ask about that a little bit. So I don't know how you were growing up, but like when you get your first bus route, that's something I'll never forget. I remember walking out on Windy Lane, bus 67. That's what's picking me up. Like that, it's like an ingrained memory in my brain. Like, do you have that relationship with that growing up, going to school? And then for the bus driver itself, I feel like you're an authority figure for those children, right? You got to kind of keep them in line. They're getting a little rowdy sometimes. What is your relationship life with the kids when you're the bus driver? Are you try to be the fun guy, but try to still have some authority and some discipline? Like, how do you toe that line?
Man, that's a great question. So I only took the cheese bus in middle school. For high school, I had to take the DOT. So it was about 100 yards from my house straight down to about 3 miles to my high school. But as far as the bus driver itself, I look at it like this. You are their teacher on the ride home and the ride to school. You are the authority figure. You have a certain amount of authority. And I was the fun guy, but I was very stern. You couldn't stand up on the bus. There's no seatbelts on the
Right,
bus. And
right.
then the bus is designed for you to be safer sitting down. I know they're looking into that. But so what I would do, especially with the elementary school kids, every Friday, I would go to Party City and I would spend $30, $40 on, throwaway toys, and I would give them to them as they were coming on the bus. And but the middle school kids, they were the most intriguing because these guys are going through that stage where you can't tell them nothing, but they kind of still want to be kids, but they want to be a little older as well. And it took me a little while to win them over, but I did. And the way that I did it is to be firm, but to be fair. And once that happened, man, they wind up becoming my favorite kids, loved me half to death, and it was great, man. So I told them all the time, I am your consider me the teacher on your ride home and into school.
That's a good method. I think that's interesting thing to say. And the Party City, that's a great trick up the sleeve. That's I'll never forget. Like when you walk on the bus driver's got like a bag of candy. It's like just makes it immediately the best day ever.
Yep, that's how it was, and they they were very expensive, but they loved them. And then don't let me have a Friday where I don't have the Party City treats, man.
Yeah.
They let me know, but it was great, man. It was just it's a way to build trust and stuff like that because the parents, they would enjoy my time as well. Like Mr. Fields, if I missed a day, they would be like, "Where's Mr. Fields?" Right? So that's the kind of dynamic. If I ever went back to driving, that I would want to create with the new kids.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then so as the bus driver, right, you're familiar with the roads, you have your routes every day, you know the back roads, you know the main roads. So did getting into rideshare food delivery in the gig space, did that come naturally coming from a driving background?
Yeah, you know what it did, man, because I actually used to work at the post office as well. So I drove there and I drove on the wrong side of the car and everything like that. And then as far as finding houses for delivery, you kind of have this thing inside where as a letter carrier, you kind of know how addresses, if they go up by fives, they're probably going to continue to go up by five. So if I'm pulling up to a house and I'm looking and the GPS is a little wrong, then I could be like, okay, it's probably this house here. So it all kind of runs together, man. Ironically, every job I've done has all been related in some form or fashion. So yeah, it does help out a lot.
That's awesome. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense in my mind. The post office is that's an intriguing gig. I always wonder what that life is like. You got to deal with so much mail. Growing up, we have in my parents' neighborhood allotment, our address, I might have to bleep this out in the back end, who knows, 8059 Windy Lane is where I grew with my family. I don't think anyone will care about that address. But right around the corner was 8059 Windward Circle. So we would always get our mail swapped back and forth. And I just always wondered what the process is like for a USPS driver, a postal service worker, where like, do you have like slotted arrangements when you get your route down so you can just kind of turn, grab, and place? Or like, how does that process work?
Well, it's been a while, Ben. So I last carried in 2013. So I'm sure the process has evolved in some capacity. But yeah, so basically you stand in front, you stand in like a little case. It has three sides, and each house has a number cell on the case. And you would put, your parents' address, you would just put that, all their mail would go in that one cell. So you literally are scanning and turning and placing, and you're doing that until you've put up all the mail for the day. Once that happens, you sort out the packages, you start pulling that mail down in order as you would carry it. So that way, when you take it to the street, it goes in that order. And that's called a misdelivery. People hate that. There are people I used to deal with all the time that there were warning cards in there that they would say, do
Right.
not under any circumstance make sure you check this mail, because you'll be surprised, man, how upset people get if it's the wrong address. So yeah, my experience was pretty good, man. I'm not perfect. I would make mistakes, but I had a great relationship with the people on my route as well.
What there's something I'm just kind of thinking as you're talking there, in terms of like routing and food delivery and stuff like that. Do you feel like, I guess like for the postal service in that office, like you have to base your route off of probably like what makes the most sense to go out, and then you work your way closer, I would imagine, back to the office as you end your route or something in those matters. So do you feel like working with restaurants and working with catering delivery or just food delivery in general, a lot of these apps want to route and have you take 2, 3, 4 deliveries if physically possible, but sometimes the routing doesn't make sense or it's mismanaged or things like that. Are there things you think that could be done a little bit better in terms of the routing side of things in this food delivery world?
I mean, you know what, man? I really don't know. I really don't know because, like, you guys have a very strict policy. We just, got to
Right, right,
update
right.
not too long ago. And although it's frustrating to have to deal with that, it makes sense. It does make sense. So I really don't know what they could do as far as the routing is concerned, but I do like the fact that even though it's annoying to a little bit of an extent, man, I understand why you guys do it and are so strict on that time because of what can go wrong. So as far as what restaurants could do, man, maybe like a built-in routing feature in an app or something. I really don't know, but I the way you guys do it, man, is I I like it and hate it at the same time. I got to be honest, man. I love and hate it at the same time. You're trying to squeeze in that second order, but you just can't do it, man. So I've come into the habit of just letting them go. I just let them go now. If all I get is one, then that's how it is.
No, I appreciate the honesty. You don't got to hold back here in any form or fashion, so I appreciate it. And I mean, I think for a lot of time, like back when I was dispatching, like a couple of years ago, it was kind of like the wild, wild west. Like I was just out on a delivery with a driver R in Canton here. We took 3 deliveries here, a breakfast and then 2 lunch, kind of back to back to back. And we were talking. And I was telling him, man, like my thing when I was dispatching, I was like, we're not canceling a delivery. Like I will lose money on the delivery. I will be 5 minutes early, 10 minutes late to one if I have to. Like I will make it work. We're just not canceling a delivery. And that was kind of the wild, wild west of things where it was a little less policies and SOPs and corporately structured. And now obviously as we've developed, like you said, I don't know. I am kind of a fan of the routing policy. I feel like it makes at least there's like very specific guidelines where like, hey, now drivers know we're not just pulling routes and deliveries willy nilly. Like there's a reason and a why behind why we're doing what we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm not a fan. It's just like we all trying to get money, bro. That's all we trying to do. But I understand how you guys and why you do it because you got to keep the customers happy. If they don't work with us, then we don't have anything to do. So I understand that. And like I said, man, you just take one on the chin and find something else to do. So, but I thought it was unique that you guys had to update it a little bit because I'm gonna keep it a buck, man. I've been guilty of doing that as well, so maybe I contributed to that little change in the routing policy. But I understand why you have to do it, and it is what it is, man. We got to learn to adapt.
And so a way you can adapt was something you mentioned in the questionnaire. A piece of advice you had for drivers was like diversifying. In my mentality, you could correct me if I'm wrong, but when I hear diversify in terms of gig work, it means like working multiple platforms, different apps, keeping yourself available, and going on apps when they are busy. Taking DoorDash, Instacart, whatever in the morning, deliver that during lunch. Another platform, Zifty, whenever they're active in the afternoon, something along those lines. So, is that what you mean in terms of diversification, or what is that piece of advice, and then how would you go about it?
Yes, that's exactly what I mean, man. Is you got to have options, and that's in everything in life. Specifically with like I do YouTube, and I'm sure we'll touch that a little later. But to have multiple choices, because if you lock yourself down, then you might get a little frustrated with okay, nothing's happening here. And now, if you have multiple things available, then it takes some pressure off this one thing. So if the orders are slow here, then maybe they're not here. Or if they're slow everywhere, you add them all up and have things fill in the blanks, then before you know it, the day is gone and you've been busy all day. So yeah, just kind of not put your eggs all in one basket because in this line of work, man, it may not work out all the time.
And I feel like I think a lot of people early on who might not be as familiar with the gig economy feel like they do have to like commit to one application and learn that wholeheartedly and full-fledged. And that makes sense to a fault, I feel like, where this is the gig economy and you do have your independence for a reason, right? And I think for my self-belief at Deliver That, and I think internally we feel as a company like we don't want you guys to feel handcuffed to only our platform. We are very realistic about what this industry is. We know you're working 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 as many apps as possible. So I think it just makes a lot of sense to me that you wouldn't put all your eggs in one basket of a platform.
Man, you know what I think it is not everybody can do this, man. Not every because you have to have I call it like that hustler mentality. You have to have that drive to get up and get that work in because nobody's pushing you to do it. Nobody but the light bill and the cable bill, the gas bill. So you have to be able to get up and do it. And I think that we're stuck in this W-2 mindset, which is fine if you want to do that, but this is not that. So if you have to be able to give yourself options because as you said, that independence, man, it can come at a cost if you don't know how to do it correctly. So I think it's just kind of built in us, man, where we find something, we latch on to it, and then we think we have to be loyal to this particular entity, but we don't have to do that. And I never did that with DoorDash. It just was, I had the the hardest time getting on Uber Eats, and I think I spelled my last name wrong, and then I had that messed up the background check, so it took me like a year plus to get on with that. And then you had Grubhub, which wasn't onboarding in my area, and then like a deliver just popped up literally 2 weeks ago, so I hopped right on that, and now all of a sudden went from 1 to 6, and maybe more on the horizon as well.
Hell yeah, yeah. And I think something you said there in terms of like loyalty, being very blunt about it, like being loyal to platforms that not necessarily are going to be loyal back to you. Like it's a very convoluted question and conversation to have.
Yeah, it is. It is. But, I think the more you do it, your mindset starts to change. And then you realize, you know what? I can be the best driver I can be for this platform, but I can also spread that around and do the same thing with others. So I think some people confuse loyalty and independence. They don't really know how to separate the two.
What about I know we asked you guys like in the questionnaire like your favorite restaurants to deliver for and operate with and interact with and stuff like that. Do you have loyalties to like specific restaurants when you go out and do this food delivery and catering work? Like if you see a bad paying job for this restaurant, but it's that brand and you like them and the GM and the manager and you enjoy going in that, would you take their delivery over another one just because you have that relationship with that restaurant?
Yes, I will, and I have done that. And one of the things that I enjoy, and it might sound weird, but I think I got a little OCD in me, a little, my family messes with me all the time because of how structured and, you know, crazy I can be at the same time. But one of the things that I love, man, is I love Red Robin and Potbelly. I just love the entire everything about it, setting it up, putting it all in, which is weird because I don't send in any photos for, to win any prizes or
We're
anything.
gonna
But
need you to start doing that. We need you. We need those photos.
well, look, it's no competition, man. They be killing it, but I love the Red Robin and the way you can structure it and pop the thing open and have it all on display. And then I've had people as well that, like today, had a situation where a lady didn't have silverware, and she was under the impression that it was added in, and I informed her that sometimes you have to let the restaurant know. So I've done it, and even the place you're going to deliver to, the people see you all the time, and they get some satisfaction. And like I was telling you before, I love when you walk in. If somebody is having a bad day, somebody's having a bad day at the counter, I walk in, they might see the shirt, but they don't really know what that is, and they say, "Can I help you?" And you say, "This is my favorite part of the day, man. I have lunch." Usually perk up. "Oh, hey, come on in. It's back here. You need any help?" So I love all of that, man, that whole process. And that's one of the things that keeps me coming back to deliver that, even when it's slow and, it's not as busy as before. It's just that experience when you walk in and you literally brighten somebody's day. So that's pretty much the best part.
Yeah, that happened this morning when we delivered this Bob Evans breakfast delivery. We walked into a doctor's office and they were like, "Who?" I had a camera on me, so this woman's probably, "What the hell is going on?" But then Mark, our driver, he's like, "Oh, I'm bringing you breakfast," and she's like, "Oh, right this way. Here's the door." Like, yeah, immediately just
I usually have people come here, they be like, we're with him. So yeah, that's really my favorite part, man, is if somebody is having a bad day, like on a Monday, you got a case of the Mondays, you bring in that lunch, man, and it's nothing like being on time, everything flows ready, and then you setting up that Red Robin, that Potbelly with the boxes and all that stuff, man. I enjoy
yeah,
that.
I'm happy you brought that up towards the end there. That's exactly where I wanted to take it. Red Robin and Potbelly, two brands that they have those branded boxes, make it very easy for the setup. You walk in, you place it, you fold it up, you're in, you're out. It is what it is, and the customers love it. They see where it's from, they recognize it, they love it. How is that packaging important to you? Does it make it easier for the travel, the setup? How is everything when you consider that?
Man, listen, I love Red Robin. I don't know. I'm sure a lot of drivers know this. The Red Robin boxes fit precisely in the deliver that bag. You can get 3 of them in there, stack them from heaviest, at the bottom, lightest at top, and they fit perfectly. And then if you have to stack them as you're going into the restaurant, the boxes take the pressure off. And I think Red Robin is my favorite, but Potbelly is a close second. So not only is the branding and the setup process easy, the travel is
Oh
easy
yeah.
as well.
Oh yeah, yeah. I can't disagree. And they make for a good setup photo, as you mentioned a little bit. What I mean, I don't have a whole lot more in terms of the gig economy. I think you have some great advice and a ton of experience. I mean, You mentioned you've been in the industry since 2019 on our platform, specifically the last 2 years. I know we brought up Zifty a little bit. I'm happy to talk about that platform. Obviously delivered brand new in your market, so you'll become more familiar with that moving on. But like in terms of this food delivery space and things moving forward, how do you feel about the catering industry right now? And like, do you have criticisms towards it, favoritism towards it, or how you just feel about the food delivery game?
Man, it seems like it's ever evolving. Like, from starting in DoorDash in 2019 to what they were doing and how things are now. And I'm pretty new in the delivery space because I've been on the platform for 2 years, but my son was being homeschooled, so I couldn't really all the orders come during this time when I had to homeschool him. And so I went real hard in September. And I'm not gonna lie, man, I'm very partial to it. I like I just like the everything about it. So not only is it maybe you could do one order for what it would take you four to do on a on demand app is they're being called now. So I am very biased toward the catering apps, and I got to shout out my guy UDM, man, for putting me on to this one in particular. So I like them. I'm kind of curious to know where it goes from here. I watch you guys a lot, and you're interviewing people and seeing the different things that could be coming into the area and being part of this. So I'm partial to them, man. If I could do them all the time, I really, really would. So that's the plan, to do it as long as I enjoy it, which I do.
I think, yeah, the future, yeah, I'm not sure what the future holds. There's by 2030, $120 billion industry, this catering industry. So you would think it's only going to get bigger, better, more developed and things like that. But I think on my end, for me, I think the next vantage point is like the customer and consumer education piece of it. Cause you kind of mentioned, like, when you walk in with that, deliver that shirt, 9 times out of 10, they have no idea what brand you're delivering for. If you're with Easy Cater, if you're with a direct partner out in Detroit, what's going on until you introduce yourself and tell them you have food. So I think and then that lends itself to sometimes negative interactions in terms of if a gratuity is or isn't left and what we should compensate this driver. So I think there's like a whole ecosystem just as a whole that we need to kind of continue to educate. And I think that's what I'm trying to do here with all this. So hopefully it's helping a little bit.
I'm sure it is.
Awesome. Well, I want to segue. This is going to be a very harsh segue. It's not going to have any smooth lines here to ease us into it, but it's really uncanny here how this shirt with the DT blue matches the Detroit Lions blue background, and it looks fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, sometimes I'll come home from a delivery and make a Detroit Lions video, and I'll wear the shirt, and I didn't realize how much it does kind of go together. So yeah, it works out, man.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And I saw, I mean, their videos, you had the Amon Ra blue dyed hair. Was that for a brief period of time, or when was that going on?
Yeah, so St. Brown, he said if the Lions made the playoffs, he would dye his hair. And because I don't really have hair, I decided, well, I have a beard and I'll dye the beard. So then I did that for the first playoff game. And then the second playoff game, my viewer said, hey, if we win this, you got to do your eyebrows too. So I did the beard and the eyebrows. And then they said, if we win this one, you got to do your head. So I tried that. It didn't really work out too well. So I started over, did the eyebrows, did the beard, and that was and now it's become a thing. So whenever I go to a Lions game, I don't know why they call me Papa Smurf when, I don't get it, but it's kind of my thing now. So, and it landed me actually on Netflix, man, via a tweet. NFL Films reached out to me and they asked for permission to use the tweet. I said, yeah. And, I don't want to spoil it. So, but I do appear on Netflix for a millisecond of time.
Hey, whatever you can get, I'll take it. That's unbelievable. I mean, I imagine this is probably a very silly question to ask, but you're familiar with like Detroit Don and Superfan and those guys. Are you friendly with them, or do you have a relationship with them?
The question I have is, how do you know about them guys? But yeah, man, I just now getting to know the super fan because I'm not really a super fan. I'm more of a fanalist. So I'm very critical of the team. They're not perfect all the time. And I will make that very clear, but I have met Crackman and some of those guys, man. And maybe be in that circle a little bit, but I like where I am, being objective of the team and being able to, they do make mistakes, and I'm gonna let my viewers know that, I don't agree with this. So, but it's kind of cool, man, this side of things, like going to games and being recognized and the the way things are at a game, man, it's like you don't know each other, but you kind of have something in common. So it feels like you know each other. It's sports is a crazy thing, man. And I love everything about the Detroit Lions, man. I like where
You
they're
want the
going.
conference title, obviously. You want the home playoff game. Do you have a record you think you're going? Any prediction for what the season's going to hold?
Okay, so I've got a record, man, of 14-3. If the defense can step up, they need to make a colossal improvement from, they were ranked 27th in pass D, 23rd and getting to the sacks. Run defense was top 3. So if we can get that defense together, I think we go 14-3. Getting to the Super Bowl is going to be hard. You're one and done in the playoffs. So if we can I feel like if we had home field advantage, then we would have been in the Super Bowl. I was in San Francisco for that game, and I'm watching it unfold. And at halftime, as every Lions fan in the atrium is screaming Super Bowl, I'm saying pump the brakes. We still have a whole half to go, and I watch that thing unfold. Man, you're talking about one of the worst experiences in sports I think I've ever felt, is the feeling of watching that crowd at Levi Stadium come alive slowly but sure, because they were dead, man. When I tell you deceased, like you could hear anything, and all you heard was Lions fans. So that really does sting, but it's time to finish it. And as far as I'm 45 this year, I think the Lions win at least one Super Bowl by the time I'm 50. So will it be this year? I hope so. But I think they get it done in the near future.
Hell yeah, man. I hope the same. I don't know. I'm not an Ohio State guy, so I don't really care about Michigan and that whole rivalry for the most part. Obviously born and raised Northeast Ohio, so my loyalties are to the Browns somewhat, but my dad was like a Cowboys fan growing up. My mom grew up on the Ohio River, so she's a Steelers fan. So my loyalties were always a little murky growing up. So as of late, I'm a Browns guy, but there's something about the Detroit Lions, man, where just the energy around that team is, you can feel it and it feels good. And I feel like a lot of people, even outside Detroit, are rooting for that team.
Yes, they are. And that's the one thing that I want the Detroit Lions to remain. Never become that team like the Kansas City Chiefs. For 50 years, they were terrible. Then all of a sudden they draft Patrick Mahomes. They went in, they're trying to three-peat now and all of this other stuff, man. And that's who I don't want to be. I went to Arrowhead as well. And those fans there, man, they're like so condescending, but in a real kind of, dog petting way. When I went, they were like, oh, you really don't belong here. But you traveled all the way from Detroit. I feel sorry for you. And then when it was the greatest feeling to leave Arrowhead with a win, I don't care who was not playing, we beat them. And it was the greatest to watch them walk out the stands and be all discombobulated, man. So that's the one thing I don't want us to become is those type of fans. So stay humble, stay true to who we are as a city, and remember where we come from.
Your time at camp, I imagine you were there the last couple of weeks. How was that?
Man, it was amazing, man. I got a YouTube channel, man, 20,000 subscribers. I'm the #1 independent Detroit Lions content creator on YouTube. And my viewers are the absolute best. Got a free kind of ticket to VIP. So I sit in VIP, man. One of the days I went to camp, it's a tent. You've got food. I didn't know if it was free, but it was. So I went in and helped myself as much as I wanted. And to see the Lions fan base, man, they're super excited. Tickets sold out in a matter of 3 hours. I actually couldn't get a ticket. I was in line for 3 hours. They were all sold out. I've had my subscribers reach out to me, hey, you want a ticket? And I went, and it was fantastic, man. A lot of hype. One thing I like about Dan Campbell, and I hope the fan base realize this, is we haven't done anything. We have to finish what we started. And that's the goal this year, is unfinished business. So we got a special date with San Francisco, and the only difference now is, man, all roads lead through Detroit. They got to come through Detroit, man. And we're trying to make that happen this year.
Hell yeah, man. 14-3, Super Bowl 59 champions out of New Orleans, Louisiana, the Detroit Lions. Sounds good to me.
Absolutely, man. Like I said, just need permission from the wife. She's probably going to want to come with. We do that, man, and we're there.
Awesome. Hell yeah. All right, Derrick. Well, I appreciate your time today, man. Thank you for chopping it up with me, man. Thank you for your time on the platform. Thank you for the content you're creating around gig economy, food delivery, independent contract work, catering platforms, and the time of the Detroit Lions, man. You're doing a hell of a job out there, and I hope everyone out there appreciates what you do just as much as we do.
Thank you, Ben, and thank you. Deliver that, man, is awesome. Of course, we got our gripes, man. That's how we are, man. But I really do believe that you guys are probably in touch with the drivers. And, really, I love the customer service, man. I love the interaction between, Sometimes I think y'all are too nice. I think y'all are too nice sometimes, but I love it, man. I appreciate being part of it.